Why, hello there, lost family. Or maybe you're new here, a wanderer just stumbling onto the lost gamer's path. Either way, the journey begins again. Today we are exploring the murky depths of Reddit, so stay close. It's easy to get lost out here. We are going through Reddit again, Am I the A-hole? And hopefully we have some good ones to look at. Am I the a-hole for wanting to walk away from my marriage and the child we were raising after finding out the child is biologically my husband's? This is seeming very, this seems like a dramatic one. This seems like it could be really interesting. There's a lot to this, and it's all newly revealed to me, so I'm still processing, and I'm sure I'll be all over the place. I'm so angry about all of this. Maybe I should have said that more angrily. I'm so angry about all of this. My husband's sister adopted a child 4 years ago. She had talked before about being a single mom by choice, and when her friend had a child she didn't want to raise, she said it made sense to step in and offer to become the baby's mom. That's really nice. That's really nice. Everyone was supportive and welcomed the child into the family. 2.5 years ago, my husband's sister was diagnosed with MS. Oh, that's sad. How bad is MS? I actually don't know what that is exactly. I've definitely heard of it. Is it like where your muscles start to break down or something? I don't know. If you know in the comments, you can let me know. Either way, probably not good. She unfortunately declined rapidly and asked us to take in her child, and we agreed. Yeah, that's really sad. It's very, very, very sad. We had not yet had children of our own at this point, which made it easier. We made sure she still spent time with her child, and she asked that we continue raising the child. And I'm saying the child to keep anonymity. That's good. I think that's better. No matter how bad she gets if she dies, we agreed. My husband never acted weird around the child. Never acted like he had some secret. He acted like an uncle willing to step in and raise his sister's child. Oh, this is definitely something. Recently, his sister confessed to me that my husband was the biological father of this child. That is quite the bomb drop. Hopefully I can say that on YouTube. Hopefully that's fine. I guess she's probably feeling like she's gonna pass soon, so maybe she feels like she has to get stuff off her chest, but I don't know. It might have been better to have kept that to herself, but I don't know. I don't think you should keep secrets like that at the same time. I have really mixed feelings about this so far. She said my husband and her best friend used to hook up occasionally, and he did it again right before we got married, and this... So he was cheating on her too? That's upsetting. That's really upsetting. Right before we got married, and this child is a result of his infidelity. I was sick. Ugh, I bet. That's a lot. She told me she couldn't keep lying to me because eventually it would come out and she wanted to minimize the damage. Golly, yeah. I feel like she shouldn't have lied to her to start with. That just feels really messed up. I mean, I have brothers. I love them, and like, obviously, I can see how there could be a part of you that would want to lie to keep, like, their happiness and everything, but they cheated on her. That just feels really wrong to me. I feel like, if you care about his soon-to-be wife at all, you should tell her what type of person she's marrying. I know that sucks because it's your brother, but that's just so wrong. I just don't like that at all. You know, it was fine for her to take in the child and everything, but to lie to her sister-in-law, that just feels really messed up. I'm not very impressed by this man. Like, I get mistakes can happen, but this just doesn't feel like that. I don't know. I guess I would need more details, but I just don't know. If you're cheating on someone right before you get married, that just feels really gross. I confronted my husband and he denied it, so I asked him to do a DNA test. He is the father. There's no doubt. DNA confirmed he's the biological father. And that's gross too, that he was just going to deny it as long as he possibly could. Like, even after his sister told the truth, he sounds like a terrible person. And the fact that he was, like, willing to not raise his own child, like, besides being a cheater, he's also dodging responsibility. You take on that risk when you have intimate relations that you might have a child might result from that, and I think that once it's there, you have to take responsibility. So the fact that he was just dodging responsibility for this for so long, he was okay with his sister taking care of it so he could dodge responsibility, having to own up to what he did, and taking responsibility for taking care of this child, like, it just seems all super gross. He told me nothing happened since we were married, and he loves me and he's sorry for what he did. Oh, sure. I mean, isn't that what they always say? He said it was a drunk night before our wedding and he would never do something like that again. Again, don't they always say that? I think if alcohol makes you a different person, supposedly, like, it makes you a scummy person, maybe just don't drink. But I just don't know if I believe this idea that alcohol makes you a completely different person and, like, makes you do things. I mean, it seems like alcohol really just brings out who you are, without the inhibitions. Like, sure, maybe he wouldn't cheat normally because he has inhibitions about it, but in his heart, he doesn't have a problem with it. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not much of a drinker. It just seems like that's how it works, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Then he said he wanted us to be a family and offered to adopt his child and raise them as our own. Well, it is his own. He told me this doesn't have to end us. It doesn't have to, but I definitely wouldn't have any judgment for this lady if she does decide to end it because of that. Because that's just, again, it's really messed up, and again, it shows that he really doesn't like taking responsibility for his own actions. He dodged responsibility for all of this ish for as long as he possibly could. He had to be fully cornered and, like, proven that this is your child before he took any responsibility for it. So, I don't think he's a very good person. It doesn't seem like it. I could probably excuse him more, like, if he had immediately, after he made this mistake, come out and been honest about it and took full responsibility. I probably could have had some respect for him and felt more like, yeah, mistakes can happen, but the fact that everything went down like it did just makes me feel like he's just not a good person. You can tell me what you think in the comments, because, I don't know everything. I could have the wrong take here, and I just like hearing from you, so tell me what you think of this story in the comments below, please. I left the house and have been staying with my sister since the DNA results. I'm disgusted and I don't want to sign up for this. I know that baby is innocent, but I can now only see what my husband did, and I cannot imagine raising them and acting like their mom and keeping my husband in my life. That's fair. It does suck for the baby. It really sucks, just in general. I feel like this is just such a good image of what happens when you cheat. It's not like a thing that only affects you or your wife even. It affects everybody in the whole family, basically. And that's just so sucky. And it's like Sabrina Carpenter actually has a very good song about this. I think it's Emails I Can't Send or something like that. But yeah, it's really good for representing what it's like to be a child in this situation, a child of a parent that cheats, and just how much it does affect everything. It doesn't just affect that person and their partner. Cheating is such a huge deal that affects everybody. My husband's sister has reached out and apologized multiple times, and she told the rest of the family the truth also. My husband's parents have tried to contact me and get me back to my husband. I don't like that. I feel like, obviously you love your family, you love your kid, but you have to acknowledge when they make mistakes. And you have to be sympathetic at some level to the people they hurt. Again, I have siblings, I can understand this urge, but they have to take responsibility for their own actions and suffer the consequences of their own actions. Otherwise, people don't grow. I mean, I've seen this very firsthand. I won't get super into detail or anything, but I've seen this very firsthand when the parents don't make their child suffer with any consequences and they just side with them no matter what. It ruins people. It ruins the kids. Even into adulthood, it doesn't help them at all. It makes them worse people. And it's super unfair to their partners, too. They have told me I have a family now and I can't leave, and especially not with their daughter unable to raise this baby again. Well, he can raise it. It's his freaking baby. Make him take some freaking responsibility. I'm sorry, this is making me a little bit angry. It's his baby. Make him take care of it. He is the father. It is his responsibility. One of my brothers is a single parent, so I know men can do it. Men can absolutely raise their own babies by themselves. It's not easy, but if you're a good dad, it's your responsibility to do that. It was never the sister's responsibility to take care of the baby anyways. It was very, very kind of her to do that, but it was never her responsibility. And it's not this woman's responsibility to just swallow all that BS and just take it, and go ahead and raise this baby and pretend like nothing ever happened and that this is her baby. That's not on her to have to do that. I had to block them because their messages were blaming and shaming me more and more for not agreeing to marriage counseling and moving forward as a family. Yeah, I don't like that. I can perfectly see why that man ended up being the way he is, because it sounds like the parents just never make him take responsibility for his own actions. They always coddle him and side with him and think he's the poor baby, he's the poor victim, and that's not good for anybody. I've never seen that turn out well. The more you do, it starts with childhood, and then as you keep it up, it gets so much worse as that child ages into an adult. Those end up being very unbearable people. I don't see a way back from this, but I have been in this child's life since birth, and I raised them for more than a year and a half. Gosh. I just don't know if I could ever be a good mom to them knowing what I know. Am I the a-hole for wanting a divorce and wanting to walk away? No. No, and I don't think it would be beneficial for this baby. Well, toddler at this point. I don't think it'd be good for them for you to go back at this point. And if you can't get over it, because that could end up just, the baby could feel like you don't love them and grow up with kind of a complex around that. And also it seems like they're kind of wanting to lie to this child about its origins, and I feel like that can be extremely damaging as well. I just don't think any of this is a good idea. I'm not at all impressed by this family at all. I mean, the sister's fine. I don't completely approve of some of her behavior, but overall she seems like a pretty good person, and she did eventually fess up. But yeah. Ugh. This is very dramatic. This is a whole thing. Okay. Sorted by best. Not the a-hole. He can look after his own child, and his family can help if they want to. I would never get over that betrayal. That is for sure. Cheating is bad enough, but then just all the lies about the baby. How do you know anything he tells you is true? Like, how many more kids does he have out there that he's just dodging responsibility for? And yeah. In general, how do you know anything you're being told from the whole family is true? Since the whole family, well, maybe not the whole family, because it doesn't sound like the parents actually knew, but, you know, his sister, it sounds like the family is very comfortable lying and covering for each other, so, I mean, how do you know what's true and what's not coming from them? He says, I can't see a way to get past it either. The disgust I feel about everything that's happened only gets worse and worse the longer I sit with it. I could see that. This is just insane. This person has a good story under this in the comments section. A friend of mine had a minor scandal in her family a few decades ago. Her uncle traveled to Malaysia for business a lot. At some point, he suggested to his wife to adopt a child from there. They didn't have any of their own, and so many poor kids living there in poverty. So they flew over together to meet a boy up for adoption. The wife, or so the story goes, took one look at this toddler, turned to her husband and said, "Do you think I'm stupid? That is your son." Turned around, booked an earlier flight home, and filed for divorce. I never met that woman, but I always admired her self-respect. That's for sure. Yeah, I do kind of wonder if maybe OP ever noticed the baby looking a lot like her husband. Because I feel like a lot of babies, they look a lot like their dads. So, I don't know. This person writes, I have a stepson, and I know you can love a child as your own, even if you don't share a string of DNA. But this is totally different, because I knew fully well the child existed, he was 4, and even met the child before we started our relationship. If my fiancé showed up with another child that has been conceived since I knew my fiancé, I would also break up our engagement. Even now we have children together, 3 in total. In my opinion, your relationship is like a glass. You didn't break it. He did, but then hid the glass in the cabinet. You didn't know the glass was broken until someone opened the door and pointed to the glass and told you your husband broke the glass. That is not on you, but on him. Yes, the child is innocent, but that does not mean you should stay. It is his mess to clean up now. I agree with that. Run, OP, for your own sake. Run from this crap. I agree. My God. He cheated on you. Drunk makes no difference. His sister would have continued to raise the child, and your husband would have continued to be the uncle. They would have continued to lie. If the sister didn't grow a self-righteous attitude to maybe get in God's good grace, this is only so she can earn your forgiveness and go in peace. That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm sorry, no one deserves any forgiveness just because they are dying. I don't know about that. I can't speak too much on that. At least she did try to make things right. I don't have as much anger about her. The father, I mean, he tried to deny it up until the DNA test came back that it was his kid, so yeah, he's way worse. You deserve better and literally have the right to divorce. He is a cheater and a liar. He made his bed and has to respect that his actions just cost him your trust. No trust, no relationship. Update me. That's for sure. I want an update to this too. Yeah, this person commented under that. If the sister didn't say anything, they would have kept the lie going forever. That alone shows how little respect they had for her. I agree. Well, just the fact that they're trying to pressure her into this and trying to make her seem like the bad guy, that alone tells me they have no respect for her or anyone that's outside of their family. They are that type of family that will just sweep everything under the rug and pretend like their perfect little angel could do no wrong. And the best part is when the rest of the family harass her about taking care of her husband's son she never knew about and telling her it's her responsibility. That's for sure. You can see where the brother and sister get it from. That's for sure. The brother especially. Because as far as the sister goes, it doesn't seem like she's not taking responsibility for her actions. It seems like the brother's the biggest problem in this family. It seems like everybody covers for him. Everybody tries to cover up his mistakes and take on the responsibility for his mistakes. Like, yeah, he's the bigger problem in this picture as far as I can tell. I wouldn't doubt it if he's one of maybe the youngest in the family, or maybe it's just one of those families that, like, have kind of a weird obsession with the boys in the family and want to make the boy in the family like the perfect angel. He's the golden child. Maybe it's one of those situations. I would say it's probably one or the other. Yeah, this person says, it wasn't just a drunk one-off. Sis said they used to hook up. That means multiple times, if not regularly. Also, OP shouldn't raise a child she sees as a constant reminder of her husband's cheating. I agree. The kid would be so messed up from that. Even if she had the purest intentions, she couldn't change how she feels on a basic level. The child would feel the resentment. That's my opinion. But in general, I think this child is going to be very messed up, because it sounds like they are wanting to just lie to this child about its background, and I feel like that could be really damaging. I don't know firsthand on that one, but I've heard enough stories from kids that go through that sort of a thing that, were adopted and were lied to. I think that's just generally extremely damaging, typically speaking. Ooh, this person seems to have personal experience. As an affair child raised by my mom and her husband, I would have preferred to have been aborted or adopted to the life I had with my family. Mom and siblings were worse than the husband growing up. Then the alcohol got him, and well, that changed that permanently for the worst. OP is absolutely right to walk away. Cheating is cheating, and he clearly did it for their entire relationship up until he got married. And maybe even after. I mean, she must be grateful he stopped, right? I'm guessing that's sarcastic. And how that family have treated her is appalling. Blaming her even now for what the husband, son, did is despicable. I agree. I am sure that OP is hurting right now, but this is a lucky escape. Yeah, I guess you could look at it. It would be luckier if she had found out what type of person he is and his family is before getting married, but it doesn't sound like they have children together yet, so it could be good. I think that's the ideal, if you can get out before you're permanently attached to them. This person says, his parents should redirect all of their energy from guilting OP to helping their grandchild. But it is much harder, so they don't want to. OP, the child is innocent. All babies are born innocent. All 8 billion of us. It is not reason for you to raise this child. The child has your husband's whole family. They should step in, not you. Agreed. He could also raise it himself. That is a possibility. Single moms do it all the time, and single dads that want to put in that effort, that do take responsibility, they do it. There's no reason he can't take care of his kid, mostly by himself. Of course, everybody needs help, but he doesn't have to trap some woman into doing it for him. Your husband is not innocent, though, and it was not a drunken one-off. It was years of lies. He sure knew his ex got pregnant. She sure wanted him back, probably. He and his sister discussed the adoption. Then they all discussed the adoption by you. Every moment of this, he lied to you and used you. I agree. Learning that your husband was unfaithful is a valid reason to end the marriage. Learning that his cheating resulted in a child is an even more valid reason. Okay, let's sort by controversial and see what that gives us. Someone's saying it's fake. It could be. I don't really get why people get super into that. Oh, it's fake, because, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. We can't prove that it's fake. We can't prove that it's real. Mostly, it's just for entertainment. Not the a-hole to realize you can't give the child the love she needs. Better you leave. Or you can go to counseling and see if there is a way out. I think she should leave because that family just seems to have so many problems. If it weren't for that, like, if everybody was proactive about being honest and not guilting her and being douchey, I would probably have a different opinion. I would feel like, yeah, you could probably get counseling and maybe work through this, but everybody's, except for the sister, has been just so horrible the whole way through. I just don't know how you can work through something like that. Yeah, I doubt very much they... once, and she got pregnant. It was probably way more regular. I agree. Well, I mean, the sister even made it sound like they hooked up regularly. And because they did it right before the wedding, I feel like they were just cheating the whole way through their relationship. Like, if you're gonna cheat right before your wedding, you were cheating the whole time, and you probably still are. That's just crazy. Not the a-hole, the husband was cheating on you all the way up to the wedding and may easily do so in the future. The family is trying to use his affair to baby trap you. Yep, I agree. God bless that child. My issue with your husband is once the sister exposed everything, he denied instead of coming clean at that point. Even if he didn't know for sure, he could have fessed up to messing up with the girl. But maybe he panicked, definitely not downplaying though. It was so stupid on his part. Yeah, that is another point. I mean, it's just plain stupid. It's really gross too, but it's also stupid because, I mean, if you get a DNA test, it's gonna show that it's your kid. I don't even get why cheaters do that, but they almost always do. This person is saying, how is your marriage otherwise? Take time to reflect. I'm so curious. Does the child look like him at all? Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that too. I just don't even know if it matters what their marriage is like other than this. Because this is such a big thing. I think this defines how the marriage is entirely. You know? I want your opinions, though. Okay. I think I'm done. It seems like for a lot of these stories, the controversial ones are mostly, like, either saying it's fake or they are, just not as well written. So, I guess sorting by controversial usually isn't that interesting. Okay, moving on to the next one. And my apologies for my voice, because I'm having terrible allergies. I have been for a while, and I feel like it makes me sound kind of sick. So, hopefully that's not too bothersome. I do apologize if it is. Anyway, let's get into the story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother-in-law it's his fault his daughter won't talk to him anymore? My wife's older brother, 45 male, has 3 kids, a 16-year-old daughter from a previous marriage, and 2 kids under 10 with his second wife. He cheated on his first wife with a second one, super classy, and they obviously got divorced, and he married his affair partner. He somehow kept the house, and he kicked his ex and their daughter out. Yeah, I mean, obviously she's not gonna like him. He was a horrible father and never really cared about the girl, so he didn't even fight for custody. Her mother got full custody. Yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised why oldest daughter doesn't want to talk to him. After his first daughter with his new wife was born, he suddenly woke up and decided to be a dad. He took his ex back to court for custody. She got to keep primary custody while he got every other weekend and had to continue paying child support. Good, that's not too horrible. His daughter hated him and his wife and never opened up to him. That's fair, perfectly fair. She, however, was always closer to my wife and I. Eventually, when she was 14, they went back to court because she didn't want anything to do with her dad. Since she was finally old enough, the judge gave her mom full custody. I really don't like that. I mean, this is again something I've witnessed, so, kind of a close thing. I feel like kids should be able to make that decision earlier than that. I mean, I'm a child of divorce too. And, yeah, I knew where I wanted to be and where I felt the safest, which, lucky for me, it wasn't an issue. Wasn't an issue for me. But yeah, that's just to say, I think kids know who they feel safe with at a very young age. I could have told you which parent I felt the safest with at like 2 or 3 years old. And I think the court should take that seriously. I understand there are cases where a parent might turn their child against the other parent, but even if that is the case, if it's that ingrained, the child's still not gonna like being with that parent. But yeah, I think it needs to be taken really seriously. I think the kid's say needs to be included from a very early age. And I think it needs to be taken very seriously if they don't feel safe with one parent. But it almost never is. Not until they're teenagers, and that just seems really dangerous to me. She went completely no contact with her dad and his new family afterwards. But she still loves my wife and sisters-in-law and her grandpa. None of us ever push her to talk to him. That's good. I really appreciate that. I think it's incredible when families don't try to cover for their other families when they're bad people and don't try to push that on the children. I really appreciate that. I think everybody should be that way. Her 16th birthday was a couple of days ago, and her mom invited all of us for her birthday party at their place. That's really nice. I really like that. I love that. Her dad tried to get us to talk to her and make up between them. He came to our house and begged us. I told him he did this to himself and only has himself to blame. He kept begging, but we told him we wouldn't betray her like that, and we basically kicked him out. Everyone else basically told him the exact same thing. I so appreciate that. I wish that was so much more common. Unfortunately, so many times the family will cover for their other family no matter how terrible they are. And that sucks. That is so bad for the kids in these situations. We had fun at the birthday party, and she got a lot of presents and was really happy, which was all that matters. Her dad is still crying, oh poor him, and is trying to guilt us into repairing their relationship. Well, how about he put some effort into repairing it? I mean, he'd done this. He came back over last night and I just lost it at him, told him to get a grip and lay in the bed he made, and that he only has himself to blame here. He actually started crying and left. I get that it might be hard for him. Like, I don't know him. I'm personally a little biased against him just because I've witnessed this. I've been through kind of similar things in my life. So I am a little too close to this type of situation to be fully unbiased, but Yeah, I get people can change. It's really rare. And the fact that the whole family is against him makes me kind of feel like he might not be changed. He might not have changed, and the crying could just be fake. Because I have seen that. Some people are very good at fake crying, and they feel sorry for themselves, and that's where all the tears come from, that sort of a thing. So it could just be that. If it is genuine, that is sad, but again, he done it to himself. Don't treat your children like pieces of garbage if you want them to like you. That should just be common sense. Like, that's a horrible thing to do. He tossed out his child like literal trash and then regretted it later. Like, it's a little too late after doing something that terrible. And then on top of that, it seems like, going through the courts, he basically forced her to be around him. If he had, started slowly trying to reach out and apologize, it might have gone better. She might have actually been able to forgive him and start warming up to him, but when you do it through the courts like that, you're forcing the child to be around you, and I just don't think they're going to reach a good place of forgiveness when you do that. Okay, the rest of the post just says, my wife agrees with me but thinks I was too blunt and brutally honest with him. Was I? I really don't know on that. I don't know enough about this. I would lean towards no, but I wasn't there, and I don't know if he's actually changed, because that makes a big difference. If he's actually changed, then maybe. If you really feel like he hasn't actually changed, though, and it's really just him feeling sorry for himself, then no, you're definitely not the a-hole. Either way, I don't really think you are, because you were just honest. You were just telling the truth. Maybe, sometimes the truth does hurt, but ultimately you weren't just, saying things that were untrue to try to hurt him. This person says, you gave him the reality check he desperately needed. Better now than dragging this for years. Yep. This person says, I would have been harsher. You cheated on both of them, basically. Your wife and your daughter? Yeah. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying, that cheating affects the whole family. You're not just hurting your wife or your husband when you cheat. You are hurting the entire family. And this person continues on. Then on top of that, you discarded your daughter like trash for at least a couple of years. Yeah, that was my point too. That's just, how can you come back from that? Evicted your daughter from the only home she knew along with mom. Sounds like some Disney villain-ish. I agree. I shudder and want to cry when I think about what that felt like for her. That's for sure. Then suddenly you found yourself so in love with your new baby daughter that you found your inner dad and got a little nostalgic for the daughter you love less and discarded, I will add, and forced her, that's what I was saying, and forced her to spend 50 days a year with you and the woman who you cheated with, along with his daughter, wait, 2 daughters, that you love more. Exactly. How did you think that was gonna go for you? But as soon as she was old enough to have a choice, she made her clear choice. And now you want to have a relationship with her and pressure her to forgive you so you can feel better about yourself? Exactly. And did he ever even apologize is a question I have too. Did he? Because that makes a big difference. If he never even acknowledged that he was wrong and that he messed up and said sorry, that makes a huge difference. What does she get out of this? She seems to be all good with things. What's the emotional or existential upside to becoming the 3rd favorite daughter in your family? Yeah. F that nonsense. Grow the F up. Even if there is some tiny part of her baby girl self that wishes you loved her, There is no interaction or time she could ever have with you that won't always cause her pain and anxiety. Absolutely. Her existence will always be more joyful with you as a suppressed memory. Yep, I tend to agree with that. Person under that comment said, "You said that so well. I hope he gets his wife to read. I hope he gets his wife to read this." Yeah, it sounds like the wife already agrees with him, though. It's her brother, so I get that it can be hard to see your brother in pain, but you have to acknowledge that he deserves it. It's just true. Not the a-hole, it's exactly like you said. He made his bed and he has to lie in it. Funny how he suddenly wants a relationship with his teenage daughter now that he has little ones. Could it be that he's just looking for a free babysitter? That's actually a really good point. You never know. That might be the whole motivation. I don't know how old she was when he decided to go back into her life, though. I don't know how old she was when they split up either. Either way, he is definitely the a-hole. I agree. He needed to hear what you said to him. That's actually a good point, this person says. Or it could be that now the new wife has kids, she's realized that he could easily do the same to her and abandon their kids. It was academic before, but now as a mother, it's personal, and she could be putting pressure on him to do something to make her feel better and try to convince herself that he's actually a really good father. Yep, it definitely could be that. I didn't even think about that. I could see it. Oh, this person says it could even be a reduction in child support, because the OP mentioned that he was having to pay it. But if he has the kid more, he doesn't have to pay as much. Or maybe at all. That's a really good point. He did it himself. I guarantee you this girl is traumatized being old enough to remember being kicked out of her home with her mother. She probably saw her mom crying buckets and trying to be there for her daughter. I think that means a fair partner. It says AP. I wonder if he and AP are having problems now and want to pretend to be a good dad now. It could be, if that did say a fair partner. Because, yeah, I feel like kind of narcissistic people, that's kind of how they do. They don't really care about the people around them up until they're having problems and they're lonely. And then suddenly they care so much. Yeah, this person says, exactly. He wasn't a dad when it mattered, and now he's shocked she remembers? Yes, exactly. Of course she does. That kind of pain sticks. This person says, I've heard so many people talk about their children going no contact with them. At first you feel bad, but as they keep talking, you eventually realize why and understand it. I don't think many of these people have the emotional intelligence to process their role. While you're not the a-hole for pointing out the obvious, you could try a different direction. You could suggest the first step in repairing the relationship is him going to therapy. If he really wants to repair the relationship, he needs to work on himself and learn and understand all of what he's done to get to this point. Thank you for actually keeping your niece's peace and protecting her. For sure. Yeah, if he actually has changed, that would be a very good step. And you also just have to acknowledge that your daughter might not ever forgive you, and it's not her obligation to forgive you. You hurt her a lot. Like, that's not a small thing to do. And if you really have changed, I think you have to, at some level, be okay with that. That you messed up bad enough that you might just never get a second chance with her. But if you want a second chance, trying to force it on her is not the approach. Not the a-hole, tough love is the only way. Softening it somehow just enables people to think their actions are okay. Good for you and your family to protect his kid. I agree. The irony of this is if he actually cared about her, he would respect her decision. His actions say he only cares about how her loss affects him. I agree with that. When you do something so terrible, I think if you've actually changed and you actually feel bad, Like, trying to put myself in this situation, I feel like I would feel so guilty and like such a horrible person. I would be fully understanding if the person didn't want anything to do with me after that. It would break my heart, but I would understand it and I wouldn't try to force it because I would be so ashamed, you know? I feel like that's how a normal person would process that. But yeah, you can let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Again, I'm curious to hear what you think of all this stuff. So with that, our little adventure comes to an end, for now. But the path never truly does. If you enjoyed getting lost with me, show me with a like or a comment. It helps me and my little channel far more than you know. And if you wish to keep traveling these hidden trails, subscribe, and I'll see you when the path reveals itself again. Bye for now.